Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of Travel Our World TV. My name is Julie Spagatis, and on this episode, we are going to talk about our trip to Paris, one of my favorite cities in the world, during the pandemic. Now, before some of your heads explode, we did have the opportunity land in our lap for us to document our trip to Paris, to get a chance to let people know what international travel looks like now in the airports, on the aircraft, and then, of course, in the city of Paris. We also did a live session with about 100 agents while we were there, letting them know what that travel looked like during these times. So, full disclosure, we did take this trip very seriously, following all protocols. We did test negative prior to our trip. We also ensured that we were wearing masks, washing our hands vigorously, and continuously keeping 2 meters apart from everyone around us. I just wanted to show you guys, we are currently at the valet parking on Airport Road, Dixon and Airport Road at the valet, and I just wanted to show you that we are the only car in the lineup there's cars parked there, but there's actually none that are lined up waiting. So we're going to be the only people that are going to get taken over to the airport. The airport was pretty empty, especially because we were traveling internationally. On the airplane, we were fortunate enough to get full rows to ourselves, as did everyone else on the flight. Getting to the city center and checking in took up our afternoon, so we decided to take a late night walk to see some sights. We went to the Arc de Triomphe, the Champs-Élysées, and then decided to go to the Eiffel Tower since the streets were so empty. Can you believe how empty these streets are? Bern and I were floored. We were running around from place to place just snapping pictures because we could not believe how incredibly lucky we are to see the city this way. On day 2, we woke up to rain, so what better idea than head to a museum? It's Monday morning, it is about 10 a.m. and we are at the Louvre. As you can see, it is pretty empty. We're about to start a private tour that is following all proper protocols. We have to wear masks the whole time. They're only letting a certain amount of people in. So we'll let you know how it goes. If any of you have ever been to Paris before and you've been to the Louvre, this area here is like a literal nightmare. I actually tell my clients all about it and how chaotic it is in this center square area. So the fact that there's no one or barely anybody here is absolutely mind-boggling.
This blasted my mind.
These are the waiting rooms where people gather for guided tours of the Louvre. So if you wanted to do a guided tour, get some information about the artwork, you would wait here. They're usually jam-packed and full of people, and we are the only ones. We started our tour on the lower level to see the medieval original walls of the Louvre dating back to 1190 AD. You can see how few people were here on this day. We even got a rare view of Venus de Milo with no one surrounding her. Wing Victory was empty too. How crazy is that? Little known fact that shoe giant Nike was named after her. For those of you that watch the Da Vinci Code, this is the Madonna of the Rocks.
Demons, omens, codes, monks, Da Vinci.
I remember someone saying I was crazy to go to Paris at this time, and I said to them, imagine seeing Mona Lisa with no one else around. In 2016, tourism contributed a total of 198.3 billion euros to the GDP in France, while tourism employment created 2.8 billion jobs both directly and indirectly. We took the opportunity after the tour to wander for several hours. We even ventured to parts of the Louvre that we had never seen before. Napoleon's apartments were spectacular, a little understated and casual, but I'll forgive him. Day 3 took us to the incredible village-like part of Paris called Montmartre. Set high on a hilltop, it feels separate from the bustling city and is considered the artistic center point of Paris in many ways, with past residents like Van Gogh and Picasso and so many more. In all the times that we have been to Paris, we have never gone to Sacré-Cœur. It is absolutely gorgeous and sits on an amazing lookout point that is usually very crowded. As beautiful as it does have a dark history that most don't know about. So do your research before snapping those love locks to its fences. Montmartre is a must-see when coming to Paris. Add it to your list. Day 4 was jam-packed and started at the famous Place du Trocadero, which was completely empty. Passé Cemetery was reserved for the wealthy aristocrats and comes with a view of the Eiffel Tower. Call me weird, but I wanted to wander around all day. It was eerily beautiful. Hilly Passé is a chic district with posh eateries and shops. We had also never been here before, but highly recommend it. Next, we went to the Wine Museum in the limestone quarries of Passé, which date back to the 15th century. The museum is a very interesting place to wander, and the wine tastings are even better. For any Inception fans out there, this might look familiar to you.
If you keep changing things like this.
Huge thank you and shout out to Danya and Tim from Paris Urban Adventures. Reach out to me if you ever head to Paris in the future. They will make your stay so much better. Some of the more tricky aspects of traveling during this time, definitely with Paris, one of the rules is that you do have to wear a mask the entire duration of the time that you're there, including being outside. So having to wear that mask all day was a little bit tricky at times. As well, we decided personally not to frequent the restaurants and cafes, which is such a huge part of Parisian culture, which was really tough to avoid. So we did take as much food to go that we could, as opposed to actually sitting in restaurants, especially if they tended to be a little bit on the crowded side. The other thing that was really difficult was the fact that as much as crowds are not something that people like, I actually personally like when there's a little bit of hustle bustle, people getting a chance to see the Eiffel Tower for this first time, people taking pictures, kids running around. That excitement kind of felt lost in this trip, although there were some perks to that as well, not having those crowds around. On the flip side to all of that, it was amazing being able to see one of the busiest cities in the world when it comes to tourism completely empty, being able to walk around the Eiffel Tower and not be shoulder to shoulder with people, being able to walk down Champs-Élysées and have lots of space, being able to be in the Louvre, which is usually such a crowded hotspot for tourism, and really get a chance to experience the artwork as it was intended to be experienced. So that was absolutely incredible. My husband in the background is nodding. He is a photographer. He does my videos. Shout out to Fade to Bokeh. He was absolutely enthralled being able to take pictures of all of these locations and not have to worry about people getting in the shots. It was definitely an amazing experience when you look at it from that perspective. I know the burning question right now is, do I recommend international travel? And that is a really tough question to answer. One of the reasons that we did this trip was to see how feasible it was to travel internationally during these times. And since the time that we got back within the 14-day quarantine, because there is a mandatory 14-day quarantine when you come back home, there was a lockdown in Paris, and they had to lock down because there was a spike in cases. So everything is, again, ever fluid, ever changing. You have to be super flexible, you have to be super healthy, and you also have to be willing to travel with the new normal, the new protocols, and being diligent and following all of those protocols. I just want you all to know that this trip was an emotional one for me. The last 8 months have been very difficult, and so we truly did cherish every moment that we got a chance to go on an international trip, and we're so happy to have been able to share that with you through our lens. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to comment below, like and subscribe, and remember, at Travel Our World, passionate travelers are wanted. On a more serious note, as some of you may have heard, Flight Centre Canada did have a massive layoff while we were in Paris, and unfortunately many of our friends and colleagues were let go. The COVID-19 pandemic has had such a devastating effect on our industry. We strongly urge the Canadian government to assist. There's only going to continue to be massive layoffs in travel and tourism and in the aviation industry, so we desperately need your assistance.